Just Saying, Season 2, Episode 20. And look here, we've got the band back together. Oh my goodness, Bromeo, Machtfish and Pyro, especially Machtfish and Pyro. I mean, Bromeo's a regular, but man, oh man, great to see you guys again.
You know,
we've always be here. We both did the little castaway, like, let's see if he does
like you go,
it,
you
know?
take it.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, we've been waiting. We've been lurking in the shadows. We've been keeping up to date. You know, watching RSC, watching everything happening down here. And now now that RLCS is sort of around the corner, like a month away, it's time for us to pop back down.
Almost,
Yeah, I was gonna hang up on the hyperbole, like a month away. It's like 32 days. It's 1 day off from an exact month. I was so ready for this year to end. I've said this before, Greybeard. I've said this before, guys. I'm gearing down for the year because it's been a hectic year of Rocket League. For the last 2 weeks, I've been at 2 separate lands in 2 separate provinces. And now you're telling me it's all starting again in a month. So, wow.
Okay, weird flex, man. Still down to you know?
Well, yeah, I haven't been at any lands recently, but I have been watch partying these cash cups, these Champions Road tournaments that have been happening still for SSA. You know, we're finally getting down to that. The end of this, what I've titled as this, second chapter of SSA Professional Rocket League, where the import destruction, the rubble's getting cleared out finally, right? The ashes are getting rid of from the air. We can breathe some clean air very soon here. And it's still exciting to watch, that last little hoorah of the local talent versus the imports in these hoops tournament and this rumble tournament and the craziness of that. But yeah, the off season's still been fun. And, we're going to have some more fun chit chatting about the teams that are getting together. So I'm excited.
Well, I'm going to get things kicked off. I've got to say how's it to the people that are here. The chat, Borky, thanks for the sub. I notice and I appreciate. And Cry followed, so thank you very much for the follow. And then all the guys that are here, Yuck Olsen, Jay, and Ikeegs, Rage, Ginger Muzz. Who else? Borky, of course, having just subscribed. Hello, chaps, welcome. And shout out to you, Pyro, for covering those cash cups. After the conclusion of the RLCS season, I was so jaded and broken that I couldn't even bring myself to cover those cash cups just because of the whole invasion thing. Fair. And it does bring me to a question with the new season and the new 2/3 rule, which is making us all very excited. Do you think that will carry over to next season's cash cups and having a 2/3 rule? And let me preface this with this: is a couple of people have already asked Nobody, one of the admins, and he's like, nah, these are completely separate competitions. It's going to stay as is, and I find that answer wholly unsatisfactory.
Yeah, one of those things I got to bring up is nobody's mentioned his name so well. He's constructed this name that you literally have to introduce him every time you mention his name, just because nobody knows what nobody means, and it becomes confusing. So you have to say Nobody, who is that RLCS admin, and that's a advertisement for his posting every time you say his name. So hi, Nobody.
So what are our thoughts? Should the rule carry over to cash cups? Are we likely to get it? Do we know anything? Anyone at all?
See, I didn't understand your question at first, at all.
Oh, okay.
So you're saying 2/3 is carrying over into RLCS, but it may not for these Champions Road cash cup things next year?
Correct.
Oh.
And
that would be
He's so frustrated already. I can see it in his face. Look at his face. He's there like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, literally, you've had the painful conversation and the arduous work of rewriting these rules that 2+ years ago we were talking about needed to happen. We said, hey, it would be a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. And it wasn't done. There were just no rules anyone can join. If you've done that, if you've gone through all work to rewrite these rules, why would you not do it for Champions Road? Why would you not do it for Cash Cups? I understand like this new era of Rocket League and the competition of like an open air, an open format. But clearly, if the rules have been rewritten for RLCS, why wouldn't it transfer over? I don't know. And it also frustrates me because there's situations where I thought the rulebook said if you compete in SSA or a certain region for a certain Cash Cup, then you can't compete in another region for a different Cash Cup. And teams were doing this. And I talked to the managers and the admins about that. And they said, no. It resets per month. You can kind of like choose where to hop around. And I'm like, okay, then what was the point of that rule anyway? So yeah, is what it is. I would find that rather upsetting if that happened.
I got to agree as well. Yeah. It's so silly. It's sort of like telling everybody to leave the club at 3 a.m. and then as they're all getting into their cars, you're like, no, wait, come in. You can have another beer, but then you must leave.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it would be any way intuitive to invite, anything less than a 2/3 rule into any of the competitions that are regional.
I mean, yes, I do agree. It would be preferable to have 2/3, obviously. But I'd rather have Cash Cups than no Cash Cups. If the alternative is just not having Cash Cups, for example, I'd rather have the Cash Cups because even then it's still the competition. And I mean, we've seen it like snowy, sweaty, guns to die for. Even in the Cash Cups, they can compete like in the 1v1s and the 2v2s and the 3s. Like they can compete with the imports playing on ping, right?
So that's true. That is true, Mock. And I cut you off for a very particular reason. When you get to the finals, when you get to those later stages of these Cash Cups and these Champions Road tournaments, you're totally right. There is one or two teams that are the top of this local region that are competing against those teams. But what about everybody else? What about all these teams that don't make day 3, that don't see the actual prizing, and instead everyone that's taking that prizing is not from SSA? And isn't the whole point of these Cash Cups to give the money to the regions? And it's just being sniped. It's being stolen from every other region. I just think it's ridiculous. The opportunity is for all these regions to compete. And again, we've changed the rules for RLCS, extended to Cash Cups. It's all about the opportunity. It's all about representation. So why not? Why not? So you're getting a lot of these other players that are just not even making these positions where you get the earnings from the Cash Cup.
I very much agree with that. And in particular, because now that we have the 2/3 rule and we are going to be majority SSA focused, I now want to get every high school team that's playing Rocket League has got to sign up for RLCS and has got to sign up for Cash Cups. Because it gives them experience, it gives them exposure, and I do think it's already a tough call for a high school team that are champ 3s to sign up for RLCS knowing they're going to get their asses handed to them. But then to go, oh, now there's there's another 150 players we have to contend with that aren't even from here. It's a little bit discouraging. So this is my plea for what it's worth. And and Pyro, you and I, we know the devil has an advocate in Machtfish, but we're very much of a core of that. And these Cash Cups are so fantastic. The fact that they're running month in, month out is so good. And it's the perfect opportunity for the growing number of Rocket League players in schools in particular to sign up and just be a part of, as wonderful as the school competitive environment is becoming, that broader experience, competitive experience is incredibly important.
I just want to jump in on that one. I was at the Curra National this last weekend, and I was having a chat with some of the parents, and I was asking, are you going to be enrolling? Are your kids going to be jumping into, upcoming RLCS? Are they going to be joining as schools? Are they going to be joining as a team? Because this is what you got to find out, because the high school scene in South Africa is doing incredibly well. So it makes sense that these rosters who stick together for months of the year should, get involved in RLCS as well, because, why not? And off the cuff, I heard a couple of them say, yeah, they will be jumping into RLCS as a team. And I think that's really, really cool, because the standard of high school is vastly improving. And I'm not even sure if it's even a thing, if you're allowed to enter as an educational institute, because does that count as an org?
Absolutely.
Or,
I would say so.
Yeah, no, I said so as well. I just, I was like, I can't see why not. And I can't see why it would be nothing but a net positive to see a school in, say, the top 32 or something, and
Kiro Durbanville.
Yeah, no, for participation of any high school. Imagine, on the global leaderboard, you see a couple of high schools there as well. That'll do great things for the game. And the fact that it's even a conversation now is so damn exciting. I'm so pumped to see the players that we've been watching all year at high school level start to slowly, move towards the door of, RLCS. So I'm not sure where it's going to go, but I know it's going to be exciting either way.
Well,
kudos to you guys. I do want to say, because you guys have put so much investment into the younger scene about getting excited into the professional league. That's all I want to say. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, that, first of all, kudos to both of you, and also everyone else that is involved with this. But also, there are two things in chat that I quickly want to mention. High school kids losing is fine, says art department. They will learn a lot quicker than adults in a few years when they're 20, and then when they want to, they can be top of the scene. Yes, and especially the first bit. Losing is fine. It's not about signing up and thinking you're the best, because, quite frankly, most of the time, you're not going to be the best. But I remember from myself playing when I was GC1 or even champ back in the day. And I just signed up for RLCS quads with a couple of mates simply because we wanted to have a bit of fun. And we wanted to compete. We wanted to see, okay, how far can we get? But mostly we wanted to have fun. And I distinctly remember playing the team of Savage back in there. It was Alpha 54, Bluey, and I can't remember who else teamed with them. But getting absolutely curb stomped by them was the funnest experience I think I ever had competing. Because seeing firsthand what these guys were capable of in 2018, 2019, that was so fun. And that was so invigorating as well, because you think, hang on, that didn't look too complicated. Surely if I spent the time, surely if I spent the hours, then I can get there myself. So it's all about the process. It's all about just having fun, especially if you're lower ranked. And let's also not forget, we have RLCS SSA. We got the 2/3 rule we wanted, and now we need the teams and players to step up. We need signups. We can't have the 60, 70 teams that we did last time around. We have to at least get 100 plus, I would say. So everyone needs to sign, because that's also ultimately what Epic Games, Sonics, and Blast care about. They care about sign-up numbers.
And I just want to underline, italicize and exclamation mark that. The biggest metric for Epic is signups. So, and the conversation, part of the conversation in campaigning for a 2/3 rule was it's discouraging local players from competing. So now that's okay, great, here's your 2/3 rule, then we have to see players coming in numbers, because now they're motivated because we have the 2/3 rule we wanted. So that is a very important point and well made. So on that point...
Wait, sorry, if I might interject. How many teams do we have in RSC for Season 4? Or how many players?
250.
Yeah, so we have our benchmark.
Yeah. So what's that? That's how many teams is that? Let me do
200.
Teams. No. But 250 players would be.
That's 75. No, more than 75. That's 83 teams.
83. So we need to be getting 100 with our sprinkling of non-SSA players in there. We can get the numbers up. So my appeal: if you're watching this and you're at school or have access to a school, in a school, involved with a school, get your players to sign up. Let's have hundreds of high schoolers signing up for RSC. That would be just amazing, and it would be such a huge bonus or push or catalyst to growing the local scene. All right, gents. Well, I've asked you all to be here. We've convened this meeting to talk about RLCS 2026. With a tiny little off season. It's about to get underway. 32 days. The first, I'm not sure if its main event is on the 22nd of November or if the quals are happening on the 22nd. But either way, for SSA, we are 39 days away from the start of our season. RLCS in the other regions, well, you know how it goes. But the official start of the season is the 14th of November. 32 days away. So I thought we should have ourselves a conversation around rosters as it pertains to SSA. And we've had a little bit of discussion, all four of us sort of, and the other talent in Discord, but we're gonna flesh it out more meaningfully here. Some of these rosters are confirmed, others are not yet confirmed, but we will talk about it all. There's quite a lot to get through, so let's get going. So I'm just they're not in any particular order, but the first one is the Pioneers. We know the Pioneers are now in SSA, and the rumored roster, we already know the rumored roster, but what I am part of a couple of Discords, and something interesting has come up as an unconfirmed rumor, which is that for the Pioneers, their coach is going to be Lawler.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if, Bromio's definitely hearing that for the first time. Pyro, I don't know if you've heard anything on your grapevines about this.
I mean, look at NA. That's Pyro's. That's not my region. Pyro.
Not your zone. Have you heard anything on that, Pyro?
Nothing. I have nothing in particular to say about this. In terms of like what I've heard, what I have.
Wow.
This is, but in terms of reacting to it, I think it's really exciting because the more that established just RLCS people are getting involved in SSA, the better. I've been trying to promote SSA and NA as much as I can. Heck, I have the RLCS analyst tag on. People ask me why I have it all the time in game, and I'm just promoting the African League. I'm like, watch RLCS SSA. It's awesome. It's great. I can only do so much. So the more prominent figures in NA that are watching, especially if it's like NA board and bred organizations, watching some of the best teams in SSA, this is fantastic. So I'm all for it. Lawler not only brings an exceptional mind into the Rocket League scene, but all those additional eyes as well. So I'm excited about it. Obviously, it's unconfirmed, but if it happens, hell yeah.
It would be. Go ahead, Macht.
I'm with you on the being excited for more eyes on SSA. Like Lawler, for the publicity point of view, definitely like couldn't be a better choice. But I sort of when I see that, and I was skeptical when Achieves also coach POAP, I think last year was it, in NA. I'm always wary when casters move over to coach, or even more analytical casters. And I mean, there's no doubt Lawler was one of the more analytical guys on the desk back in the day. So is Achieves. Achieves, I got around to saying, yep, that's a good addition. Lawler, I just don't really know because there isn't that much to go off of. There was literally he's only credited with one placement as a coach with POAP, and that was failing to get the LCQ spot in NA, which
Well, so what
difficult.
convinced you that Achieves was good for that coaching role? Because I believe when Achieves did coach POAP, they had amazing results. And
it's
you know
the results.
that is up
It's
to
the
personal
results. Yeah.
discretion how much you want to attribute those results to a coach, but still, it is what it is. Was it the results mostly that convinced you?
It's a lot to do with the results. I can't lie.
So basically, your opinion hinges on this team's results.
No, if the results are good and then go to bad, it's sort of like. But if he manages, because that's the job of the coaches, right? It's not necessary to create the peak, but it's to create the highest of floors, right? You want to improve on the consistency. You want to develop your players. I think there's definitely a lot of knowledge going on, and I think Lawler has enough knowledge to be able to do that. But yeah, that's basically all I'm looking for. And I'm looking at that roster as well. Sweaty to die for Luis P. Anything lower than first is a problem.
I mean, for
because
me,
you don't get Luis P as an import to not make
Tough
it to
expectation. I mean, I kind of agree though. Like you're right. They're top two. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a toss up, but like you don't get Luis P if you don't want to make majors.
Absolutely. I think from Pioneer's perspective, anything less than making every LAN would be a very poor result. I mean, it's yeah. And Lawler, I don't know. I mean, and for those who don't know who Lawler is, he was on the RLCS desk at the very beginning. Was he season 1, guys?
I think from season.
I
think
don't
he
know
joined with Shogun in season 2 or season 3.
So
I don't think he was there for season 1. I'm not too sure though.
So very early on the RLCS desk. So he's been a personality and a figure within professional Rocket League for a very long time. Went into content creation. He streams. He makes YouTube videos around Rocket League. So he certainly has a platform. And if this does come to pass, it'll be great to amplify the voice and the presence of SSA Rocket League. But I agree. The question of coach, his pedigree as a coach, I have zero idea. We don't know, and time will tell how he pans out in that role. If this even comes to pass, I don't know how serious this is or how locked in.
Wait. Can we just
of serious
appreciate
this year, and the fact that like I love that Graybeard just puts these things on the screen. Like we have no idea like how sure of this he is. He's like, I don't know, I'm part of a couple discords. I think it could be possible. It's like okay.
No. What I love most about all of this is that you just put it up on screen, and then it became, almost T-Batesian in the level of bait that was brought to this conversation. Is like, can a caster ever be a coach? This is now a philosophical question. Will we answer it in today's episode? We will not know. We know that Graybeard will never be a good coach because he'll just get behind any team. He will imprint on the first team that he comes across and never be able to remove any of them. But I think this is a really, really cool conversation as well, is that how valuable is platform when it comes to this sort of position? Is like, do you need a following to be a coach? Is it beneficial in this sort of situation? And, I can see that Macht is busy shaking his head, like saying, please don't let me speak again because I have lots to say on this topic.
Well, let me clarify what my rule is about putting anything up on screen. Anything that's been put up. If I am told information and I get told, please don't leak this, it's not publicly known, I respect that every single time. Yeah. But if I then hear it from another source as a rumor, it then qualifies for. So I have to hear it from somebody other than people who might have confirmed it with me. So, and the ones that I've been told are confirmed, I will say. So that's kind of the general rule. So I never want to get anyone into shit or leak information that I've been told in confidence. So this is a rumor. I'm pretty certain on the roster itself, although Pioneers haven't published anything. but the Lawler thing remains to be seen. So that's our first roster to have a chat about. The next roster is, and it says they're looking for org. They've literally called themselves that. That is the current name of the team, looking for org. And that's Werty, Eli, Kim, and Ravi. We did speak about this last week or the week before. I believe they have someone as a coach. I don't know if they're trying him out or checking. It's pretty new, but who that coach is, I don't know. And now that
I thought this was someone. I thought Unk was someone I didn't know. Like someone. I'm like, oh, who's this now? I haven't seen
who's
that
Unk?
name.
That's brilliant.
Besides us,
The coach is known.
Yeah.
He's listed on Wikipedia.
Currently, what?
Yeah, it's an Englishman. It's Data Lied.
No. Data Lied is. Why do I think he's
spoken for? I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure he's spoken for elsewhere.
No, it was Eli's tweet. SSA RLCS roster looking for org. Werty, Ravi, Eli, and coach Data Lied.
You know what? You are totally right. And now,
well, are you just calling Data Light an Unk now? Is this?
Yeah, no, that's where we're going.
Wait, let's check how old he is. Maybe that Unk is still correct. He's 21. That's Unk for.
While we're fixing this, while we're confirming, I just saw in chat Peach popped in and he did prod for the National over the weekend. And you know what he managed to get going? He managed to fix up a telestrator. So I was able to draw on stream. And as a naturally creative person myself, I loved it. And I refuse to believe that this technology cannot and should not be a standard in every single professional broadcast we do on here on out, because it was amazing.
Okay.
Chat for 5 marks.
All right. Macht and Pyro, I had a question for you. I brought it up the last time we spoke about this roster. Do you... I'm not convinced that Ravi... I feel like Ravi should have had teamed up with like as high level as possible we could get EU player to help develop him. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm just being silly about that.
Okay, that's an interesting thought. I want to hear more about why you feel that way, because
that's layered.
What we're getting into with the season is, and I got a list of rosters, either proposed or confirmed, et cetera. So many have taken advantage of the 2/3 rule and brought in that Spanish player. So realistically, we're looking at one of the dead honest few top teams in SSA that have gone with 3 locals. So I understand like elevating the mechanical ceiling, right? However, we look at Ravi's last season, and obviously leading that team with Skill Steal. He's become sort of like a Yoda for the scene. You could even think about Skill Steal and like Archeon, right? Like I feel like Archeon learned a lot with Skill Steal back on Reform to become Nixa. And now you've got Ravi coming into a similar situation, right? Wordy is someone who's like Mind, who's IGLing, that we talk about all the time, really a thought leader of the region. I don't mind it, right? Like you're either bringing up, we're talking about elevating the mechanical ceiling, I guess, but I almost look at Ravi to like push that ceiling for this team. Like let's take advantage of that mechanical talent and bring it within an umbrella that wants to execute a proper strategy. Like I'd rather have the thought leadership of Wordy rather than a push a mechanical ceiling, have that extensive like list of mechanics of an EU like top MMR player. But tell me more about why you feel that way, Greybeard, because I'm curious.
Well, first let me say you're making a compelling argument there. My thought was Ravi for me is one of a very small handful of young players that have the potential to be absolute superstars in the years to come.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I was just thinking in terms of experience, in terms of knowledge, in terms of growth for the game. Werty and Eli, I absolutely agree with you. But Werty, to his credit, is such a, he flies the flag for this region, and he does not want non-SSA people on a team. And I think there's absolutely place for that. But I wonder if there is the danger of becoming too insular in the thinking.
Yeah, you make a good point as well. I think so. I support players who have broadened those horizons. I mean, the bridges have already been built. Now it's about having these teams traverse them. But at the same time, basically, I don't blame either side. Like you have the potential no matter what. So I don't think it's a shortcoming to Ravi's career if he sticks with the local scene. Yeah, I don't think it will end up being a shortcoming for him.
And so we spoke about Pioneers. We all agree absolutely top 2 team. This one?
Oh,
Tough. That one is tough because here's my quote unquote problem with this team, right? And we have to look in the name in the middle because this stands or floats or falls with Eli. Eli is the most frustrating player to watch because I think I can speak for us all. We all love Eli. Watching Eli when he's on his game can still be, if he's on his game, one of the best of the region. Like, no questions asked. The problem with Eli is his consistency. And if he's off, what happens then? So they should be a top 4 team, I would say. They should be top 4. But I could also see them bombing out, if the format stays the same as last year, bombing out in the group stage and not even making a top 8 because just having a bad day. It could be that much of a swing. So for me, this Ravi being there with the full local team, I don't mind. Werty being there, I don't mind. It's a sound team. But for me, this one very much hinges on Eli's consistency.
So on that point, there's 2 things I want to say. Werty's going to have his job cut out for him to be a mentor to Ravi and a calming influence on Eli. And I think then their coach is going to be really important because the coach needs to take a bit of that pressure off of Werty. Because if Werty's got to be a mentor and a calmer and also be a good player, he's going to be spread a little thin. So Data Lied, you got your work cut out for you there.
That being said, the roles on this team are great. I really think so.
Yeah.
Like Werty needs 2 players that will want to pop off and attack the ball, and Werty could solve the rest of the game in terms of the stratagem, in terms of the off the ball work that is being done between boost steals, between bumps, between having that defense ready. I like the roles on this team is what I wanted to say. If it works, if they can make it work.
I 100% agree.
Moving on to our next roster. This one is pretty confirmed. I've called them GTS for Guns, Tekos, and Snowy, until they're either orged or not. As far as I know, their coach is not Unk. I just don't know who their coach is. And Bromeo, you and I have spoken about this team, and our consensus, and I'll throw to you Macht and Pyro, this is, to me, a very hot or cold team. Those 3 together could be explosive and amazing, but they could also implode.
How's the mental going to be?
Sure. Yeah, it's a big mental conversation. I mean, to me, the story of this team should be broadcasted to the world. This is the villains to lovers story of RLCS, and if you're romantic, then you should be keyed in, because never in a million years would anyone imagine Guns to team up with Snowy, but it's under the one true shared goal of conquering the region, we will compete together. So I mean, you could say this team's hot and cold because of their mental, but I think it only makes them stronger. That unwavering desire to be the best. When has Snowy not been on the number 1 team in RLCS SSA? The answer is easy, because it's been never. Never. And so Snowy's competing. He is gunning for number 1. And he's picked up the top talent in Guns and has one of those top imports of Tekos. I do agree that the mental has to stay strong. They have to keep a cool head. But so much is on the line for these guys to be the best that I don't think they'll allow that potential of the mental imploding to occur.
So we said to dive. Go ahead, Buckfish.
Maybe one more thing. Like, this is also I'm very sad you didn't say he's gunsing for glory, but you know that was one that was there. But I found one. There are very few replay groups publicly available. I found one of a scrim between Sweaty's team, so the maybe Pioneers, and this team, GTS. It was 5-3, so basically even. It was all close games, but one game was where they popped off and won 7-1.
Who popped off?
GTS.
Okay.
GTS popped complete. They lost the scrim overall, but they had one game where they really popped off. And I think that's going to be the story of the season. It's the more consistent team. I feel like it's going to be Luis P. Sweaty to die for, so the Pioneers. But the higher ceiling, and I think even this perhaps slightly better import, if I have to compare Luis P with Tekos, I would say GTS takes the very, very slightest of edge in that department.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he's full of hot takes tonight, and I love this.
Am I? I mean, Tekos was nearly dethroning, like, he was playing in APAC last year, right? And he was nearly dethroning Virtus Pro back in APAC. Obviously playing with two EU players, but Tekos is really, really good. We've all seen how good VP was at Worlds, right? And they were close to dethroning them in APAC. Tekos is really good.
Okay.
So I just want to throw this one in here as well. Is that we're all talking about these rosters as in this moment in time, which one is better? But you also got to introduce time as the variable, because if GTS don't stick together, it doesn't matter if they win a couple of scrims or, win, overnight. So you need to look at these rosters as what are their staying power? Because if they break up, then they lose all of that momentum that they built and, all of that, the pressure that they managed to build up over their opponents. Because I see a head shaking here, so I'm looking forward to a disagreement here. But in this region, we have a severe problem with staying power. So I believe the team that wins between these two is just simply the one that stays together.
I mean, the question mark for me on that particular question is Guns. We've spoken at length about the number of rosters he's appeared on.
We've joked at length.
Yeah, but conversely, and on the other extreme, Snowy has been on solid, consistent rosters for very long periods of time. Tekos, I have no idea. I don't know if he's a roster.
They're jumping everywhere.
He's a roster jumper. Okay, well then it's Snowy's job is going to be to keep these guys like, okay, guys, we had a bad day. Calm down. We don't need to break up in the first argument. So yeah.
My thing is that, like, here's the problem, right? If this team breaks up, I mean, Snowy's not teaming with anyone else. This is the team. Yeah. This is the team. Okay, like, I don't see him making another team. So with that fact in mind, it's just like, how could this team ever break up? So I kind of echo what Greybeard's saying. You have the loosest cannon, which is Guns, and then you have the guy with the most sticking power, which is Snowy. How does that translate to a full season sticking together, which is what Bromeo is putting out there? I don't know. I would imagine they still stay together, but I do agree with you, Bromeo, that like, yeah, none of this matters if they do fall apart. None of this matters if they break up. I'm of the opinion that these guys will maintain a top 2 position throughout the whole season.
So are we agreed that we spoke about To Die For's team being To Die For Sweaty Louis, top 2? Is this the other top 2 team?
100%. There should be no question that these are the top 2, and there is a gap between them and the rest. I don't think there should. Well, I mean, I welcome other opinions, but I don't think that there's any argument against that.
No, I think
like 100%, like easily the top 2. But I want to also say, as much as we talk about the volatility, I think all 3 of them, Guns has matured a lot, I think, over the past year or so. And I think all 3 of them are professional enough. That includes Tekos, that includes Snowy, to see it out because they all have that one aim, and that aim is, and they know that they can reach it, right? And I think for that, they know that they need consistency. They know that they're going to need to stick together. They know that they need to work through problems as a team. And I believe all three of them are professional enough to be like, okay, if we defeat ourselves from the inside, then like the other team, it doesn't even have to defeat us on the pitch, sort of thing.
Okay, can I just throw this one to the wind? I bet $100 that neither, or like one of these teams that we've just covered, either Snowy's team or To Die For's team, one of them is not going to make it out of the first split intact.
Is this on top of the 100 you already bet? I'm pretty sure this is
I'll
the
take these bets. I'll take these
I'm
bets.
sure this is
Flip it
the
right
second
now,
time. Okay.
Bromeo,
I think
the reason, I think you can finish.
No, like I still had a point. I agree with you, Pyro, that this is, Snowy's last stand. I feel like this is his best shot at it, separate from his former teammates at Limitless. And the biggest problem that Snowy has to deal with is should they finish second and they don't have the backing of a good org, then holding this team together becomes a difficult task into a really, really, really difficult task. And I feel like these are untested waters, and you guys are giving certainties where there is nothing certain. And
the reason that there
is
should be a
really
certainty,
exciting.
the reason you should lean towards a certainty is because of the gap that I just mentioned. This GTS team and the To Die For Sweaty team have such a professional and a skill gap amongst the rest. This is not any shade. I am not shading the other teams of this region. I am simply putting these guys on that on that high of a pedestal because they've been at that and they've proven that. There shouldn't be any reason that GTS after the first split, points wise, are out of the contest for Worlds.
That's and that is a huge thing, and especially for Guns and Techos, this is going to be this will be the closest they will be at having a shot at going to LAN. Guns has never been to a proper LAN. I don't know if Techos has before with other teams. And so if they finish split in the first split in second place, they are realistically in with a shout at Worlds. And I think that will overcome the balance of pressures. It's like, guys, we can't give up on this now. We have to keep going forward. So I'm in agreement with you there, Pyro.
It's all for fun. All for discussion.
All for fun.
Argument.
Next up is now. This is rumored that Synthesis will be picking up the roster of Daps, Declan, and Machine. And if that happens, I would imagine Green Warrior will be their coach, who was their coach at Genesix. And if this does come to pass, I think this is a fantastic pickup for local org Synthesis. And Bromeo, you and I have spoken at length about this org, and Machtfish and Pyro, you're probably not too familiar with them. They're a pretty new org in the scene, but they are a content-first org. They are so very good at content. They picked up Rocket League rosters for the last two Comic-Con LANs, but those were like once-off, pick up a team, be at the LAN, and then move on. And now they're making a serious push into the region. And I've had conversations with Tendo, who own Synthesis, and they want to be in the scene for the long haul. And with that in mind, this for me is a delicious pickup if it comes to pass.
Yeah, I've got to say as well, there are so very few legitimate orgs in this country. And I say legitimate like a Discord server does not count. So there are so few, and there's less than 10. I would even wager there's less than 5. Like real, bread and butter, registered business, have a source of income other than prize money orgs. And Synthesis is one of them. They've got they're a business based in media, and they run completely independently of esports, so that the teams that they pick up are marketing vehicles for Synthesis, which is traditionally how esports orgs win. It's how they work. It's how they continue. So I love to see Synthesis getting involved here, because I want to be real. These are one of the few orgs that actually have potential to implant themselves into the scene and start making meaningful change by introducing stability. So regardless of who they pick up, I hope they pick up Daps, Declan, and Machine, because Daps and Declan, they've been together for the longest of times. They are a good, stable roster. And for Synthesis to pick them up, it's an easy bet, because they know that, come end of the split, they'll still be together.
And Mission is really good.
I was going to just ask you that question. Absolutely, please.
Basically, Hungary, like most European countries, Hungary has a national competition that is just being played twice, 2 seasons per year or something like that. I think nowadays it works a bit different over there. But since 2021, Meshin has won every single one of them, basically. He is, out of Hungary, the best player. Now, Hungary, of course, in itself isn't the sort of top EU country, but even in Europe, like lately, he's been getting top 32s. He's been, very much there or thereabouts in the mid bubble tier, and that is someone of the caliber of not of course not of a Tekos, not of a Luis P, but of the higher caliber than we had before. Like someone like Revezi, for example. Like that's the sort of caliber of player that Meshin is. And also he's 21, he's got a lot of experience, he's got offline experience, he's got online experience, loads and loads and loads of it. And I think Daps and Declan, they aren't 18 anymore, but they're still fairly young, right? Or are they in their 20s now as well?
I should know this. I think Daps might be 19 or 20, and Declan's like...
No, Daps is 22. Jesus.
22. Well, there you go. Declan's 18.
Okay, but he's been playing with a very, very young Hungarian player, 16-year-old, and basically been mentoring him. So he's got the ability to be that also in-game leader, to be that mentor. And also, I think his rank peak is like 2,500 or something ridiculous like that. So he, like, Meshin surprised me. It's completely out of left field, but I very much love this pickup of Meshin.
So
this is great because I feel like I've learned so much. Could I take a second, Greybeard?
Of course.
Awesome. I feel like I've learned so much from the both of you, both from Greybeard and from Bromeo, about like synthesis in the org here. I am so excited about homegrown orgs, like legitimate orgs, bringing more prominence, I guess, to the RLCS SSA scene, and like Romeo said, some stability, and then learning more about Meshin is really cool. From Mocked, just like a #1 player from Hungary. Speaking of the team makeup itself, like what I'm really curious to see from this team, we talk about Daps and Declan being such a long-standing duo. I wonder who's going to be riding the ship here, especially when you have Green Warrior, who's worked with these guys for so long. Is it going to be Daps and Declan, who have been like, well, we've tried out this third, we've tried out that third, and Meshin, what we feel like works best is if you play this role? Or do you naturally let these players play it together? Do you see what you find out in scrims? Or do you even let Meshin like kind of lead the way, like Mock was almost suggesting with all his experience in Rocket League and being a leader there? So I'm really curious as to see, like, maybe it is synthesis, how this team does synthesize together. Like how do they generate a game plan and a play style that works for them? Even an open discussion as to like what would be best for this team, just because you have that long-standing duo. But I don't want them to be limited by giving Meshin a role right off the bat.
Mark, do you know Meshin as a person? Because I mean that question comes down to what sort of personality Meshin is. And
unfortunately, I have not had any interaction with Meshin before. But
because
I'm hoping that will change come November.
I think absolutely. Because if he's got the right personality, he can absolutely bring a flavor to the team that Daps and Declan have not had before. But if he's your sort of quiet European who just puts his headphones on and plays Rocket League, they just have to learn what they can in game.
I think but the thing is, Daps and Declan, for me, both of them, A, they're inseparable. And B, I think they just work because they're really good mates, right? They're really good friends. They have a good vibe. And I don't think they will pick someone with whom the vibe is sort of awkward.
Yes.
Or it doesn't quite fit. So honestly, in that regard, I have very few reservations on it and how they're going to integrate Meshen, because it's also easier to gel with two people if these two people are already just joking about
Yes.
there's a good sort of air to the conversations and everything. So I feel I've for that sort of thing, and also to say to Pyro, like let everyone be there. I think they're just gonna figure it out. I don't think they're gonna be boxed in that sort of like system, like in the sort of role system. I think they're just gonna be vibey and flowy.
So this is. Go,
Okay,
Bromir.
can I
Of course.
just one last thing on this is Genesix, when they had Eli this past season, they always showed so much potential, and they were while we were still bathing in Spaniards, they were firmly knocking on the door every single main event to Champ Sunday, and I see a whole bunch of 9th to 12th finishes. And, I feel like that was sort of the bracket in which they were operating in. And like you said, Mark, Daps, and Declan, they vibe well together. Why would they pick up somebody who they don't? And Machine the Caliber, I was just having a look through his Wikipedia. His last couple of results, 9th to 12th in Jump Jam EU 3v3, 17th to 24th in the last Cash Cup hoops. So that's not insignificant. And for the fact that they're picking up a very decent third to round out the squad, I would argue that this moves them into top 4 contention.
Well, that segues beautifully into the question I was going to ask, which is, what is this team? Top 2, top 4, top 6, top 8, 12 to 16. Macht, where do you see them with the involvement of Machine or Meshen?
I would be surprised if they miss out on top 8s. I would be very I don't see, maybe to compare it with the Werty roster, I don't see the lower floor. I see maybe similarly high peak, but I see a more consistent roster, I think, with these three. So I'd say we would, and if we're going to see them on every broadcast. I don't think they're going to miss a broadcasted day of the RSS, be it like top 8 or top 6, who can say, with like matchups and everything, but I would be very surprised if they missed a singular broadcasted day.
Pyro?
I think that's a good take. I agree with it. For me, there's still some missing parts in terms of what rosters are being formed. I need like for example, I need to know where Cam's going.
Yeah.
But that, to me, that separates whether this is a top 8 or even a top 6. So yeah, agreed for the most part.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced. Top 8 consistently, and with the potential, I think, to push to a top 6, top 4. And I got to shout out Megaboom. Megaboom, he's sort of closing down Genesix. He's got other life priorities, but he is staying on as this team's manager. And
cool.
and
Lovely.
so he'll be there managing the team, and we know how much he loves Daps and Declan and how good he's been for them. So shout out to him, and he just loves the region and wants to stay and do what he can. So shout out Megaboom. And our next roster: SDO, Skillsteel, Devour, Onizuma, Coach Unknown. Onizuma is out of Reunion Island, and he was a surprise to me. I saw him. He was teamed up. I can't even remember what I was watching, but I was like, "Oh, Onizuma!" I mean, this is a guy who was in my lobbies once. But as I always say, so is everybody. But to see him competing at a high, and I was genuinely very pleasantly surprised by how well he did. And but he's untested at the very highest levels in this region. But Skillsteel and Devour, Old Highball staying together, and then bringing on Onizuma. So another exclusive SSA roster.
I just put out that this is a complete I don't know roster. This I cannot even begin to wonder how these guys are going to do. I do think that Ravi leaving was a punch in the gut for Skillsteel and Devour. I think it would have been cool to see them, stick together. But I also understand why Ravi went his way. That said, bringing in Onizuma might not have been the play. but who are we to say? So I have zero opinion on this team. I don't know how they're going to do.
That's fair. And Macht and Pyra, I don't know how much more you can add to the conversation. I don't know if you've even heard of Onizuma before.
I live on Wikipedia. Of course I have. No, like, he's got some results, like, nothing bad. Like, a top 12 together with Tishao in the 2v2 champions road with all the imports playing. That's quite good. That's quite remarkable, to be honest. So, even top 8 even, sorry. But yeah, like, we haven't seen him in threes, and that's the big thing. And also, one question: do we know how old Onizuma is?
I have no idea. Sadly,
okay, because this could be like, I was trying to be like, Skillsy got his Ravi 2.0. If he got another young player to mentor, to tutor, and sort of show the ropes of and give on his experience in threes, maybe.
Well,
Yes.
I've fired out the question to Skill Steal and Devour. Let's see if they answer.
So exactly what Mark just said, like both points I totally agree with. Like, from Bromio's standpoint, there's a big question mark because of what we haven't seen from Onizuma.
Yeah.
But in the sense of, like, there's two eras. I like to take this in the frame of Skill Steal's career, right? I mean, and keep in mind, like, I was the reformed, like, watch party guy, so I've just watched way too much of Skill Steal, even just that personal team.
My condolences.
There's the era of Skill being on the top team, being the top 2 contender, to then what I said earlier, being the Yoda of the region, like, taking on the younger players, seeing what he can do with them, right? We're in, like, year 3 of this now for him. So let's just admit that he's only gotten better at that role as time goes on. Like, you could even say, like, the development of Ravi and how well he fit in, how it was so stunning to see a young player improve so much and be so surprising and effective in the professional scene without that experience. You could lend some of that to what Skill has been able to do, to mentor, to form those roles, to allow those players to be so prolific. So let's extend that to Onizuma. Let's give him the chance. And I do want to keep that question mark, but it is still that sense of, like, this is the role that Skill's good at. Devour's only going to get better as well. So having some faith in Onizuma becoming that would be cool to see. But yes, the question mark is still very much there. And Ravi leaving is a punch in the gut, agreed, because Ravi's very talented and this team was very fun to watch.
Onizuma is 18 years old.
That still qualifies as Skill Steal being the scout. That still qualifies. I feel like.
So my prediction, and I agree by and large that they're a big fat question mark, but they are, for me, 60% likely to make top 8s until I see that first split, and then I'll have more of an idea. As Macht said, we need to see Onizuma in threes. We need to see how he's been shaped around Skill and Devour and all of that. But I think they've got a 60% chance of making most top 8s as it stands now with the limited information we have. Moving forward, next up is potentially Kitsune. And this is, for me, a wild rumor. And I give this 50% at best of Kitsune picking up, A, getting into Rocket League, and B, picking up this roster, Olympic, Mojito, and Drew, with Specs as a sub.
Do you know what? Before we we take this roster seriously, I don't think, if you're an org wanting to enter the Rocket League scene, why would you?
Careful.
I just think, like, why these guys? And that's the important question to ask. And I know everybody's, waiting for me to, say that clip-worthy comment, but I think there are some good players on this team, but very inconsistent players. And over the seasons we've watched Olympic, he's had some decent results. He's had some terrible results. Same for Drew as well. And, I think Kitsune entering here, like, for the first time entering Rocket League, I'm just more interested as to why. They've got a pick. So why these players? So clearly they see something that I'm not immediately seeing, and that is what I want to know.
So Olympic and Drew are older players. As Syntex says in chat, this roster defines Unk. And that's probably true of Olympic and Drew. Mojito is younger though, and but an unknown factor. He's kind of around, but I know almost nothing. Specs was a delicious prospect in the first season of RLCS. I don't know what he's like now, but he is their sub. So this for me a big fat question mark all around about this roster and the org.
But also content. And
fair enough.
If we want to or not, I think having Olympic on a team it's printing content. Like that if that is an org, right? If that org picks up the team, if Kitsune actually pick up this team, and they don't publish and record their comms, that would be criminal mismanagement of content possibilities.
Yeah.
Because that's just what Olympic is at the end of the day. He's a content machine, whether he wants to or not.
Yes.
And I have no doubt that in his mind, that team is a top 4 team.
Yes.
He's delusional, but we'll keep it at that. But yeah, I don't know. Do they make top 16s even?
I don't.
Honestly?
Yeah, that is a big question. I have zero. I have more questions about this roster than I did about Skill Steal and Devour in terms of let's just see how it all pans out. Okay, so that's that one, and then moving along, WJS, Willu, Jeff, and Steak. Thoughts?
What happened? So what happened? Like where did Cam go? I just don't understand.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be the team. And by the way, I just got done casting for I think Jeff on one of these Champions Road or Cash Cups or whatever, and played really well. Like I'm excited to see this team still. But what happened? Willu, Cam, Steak were supposed to be that team to vie for top 2 and make that top 2 conversation way more interesting. And now you have someone like Jeff who, just to be transparent, we have not seen compete with a top roster.
Yes.
This is that top roster. This is 100% the top roster. This fully depends on what Jeff can do. So, not to put that much pressure on him, but I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong or out of pocket.
I tried to dig a little, and because I do know Jeff and Cam were in contention for this roster, and ultimately they went with Jeff, and I tried to dig in as diplomatic a way as possible to like why one over the other, and the answer I got was we tried them both and we chose Jeff.
Wow. And you know what? I come in with excitement. Okay, it's an expectation, but it's an excited expectation because if they chose Jeff, there's a reason for that. I'll put my faith in this team. Looking forward to what they can bring. Because Steak is fantastic, and Willu, as we know, best reunion Ireland player, fantastic.
I rate Jeff. I think Jeff can go really, really far. And the point you make, Pyro, is very valid. Is we haven't seen him on a top roster. He played with Death Cloud last season, and they had disappointing results, I would say. But now maybe this is the time for Jeff to ultimately fulfill his early promise. So that's certainly what I'll be hoping for.
I think this is one of the biggest mysteries. Is it's one of the first seasons where we'll not see Cam in a prominent position in one of the easy top 4 teams. And I think the way things are shaping up now, we've never seen teams like this before, and I'm here for it. I really am. I thought, prior to the Reconquista, we were approaching a very stale environment where there was a Limitless, and then there was a team of whoever else was contending against them that season, and positions 3 to 8 didn't really matter, but they fluctuated. And I think for the first time, nothing is certain. I think they are 2 very good teams, but I don't think that they are as far ahead of these other teams as in the past. I think the gap is closing. And whether that's because Limitless dissolved their operations in SSA, maybe. Would it be because the power couple split? Maybe. But I also think that just the general skill level of the region is increasing, and it's reaching that point where I believe that on any day, any of the teams we've just looked at, barring the one that I won't mention, have a good chance of beating any of the others. So this team is really, really good. And I've said that about every single team so far. And I feel that the next episode we have to, or at least on social media later, we have to present a power ranking. Because
Oh God.
putting all of these guys, up on screen and going, oh, these guys are great. I feel like that's also a bit of a cop-out. We need to start making bold predictions and
Hear, hear.
money where our mouth is.
Go on then.
Here,
Go on
here.
then.
I agree.
I'm shit at predictions at the best of times. So,
Nah.
we
But
are.
that's a beautiful thing. Like they know that we don't know, right?
Yes.
And so we just try to have. I'm with you, Bromeo. Let's
Yeah, like, why
put our
not?
money where
Why
our mouth
not?
is. Yeah.
Well,
No, I wasn't
okay.
with. By the way, I disagree completely. I think the gap. I understand that the talent is improving within the region, and I do agree that Limitless dissolving and this new 2/3 rule will like bring people a little bit closer together. But the main story of SSA has been the fact that the top teams are also improving and the rest of the region is not improving at a rate that's closing that gap. I think that's still true. I think the gap does exist. I think it is lengthy between the top two teams. And you know what? Find out when the season starts.
Well,
last one, and this will be my hottest take. I feel like if Limitless didn't dissolve, they would have split up anyway.
With 2/3. 100%.
No, just regardless, because
Regardless of 2/3.
Regardless. I feel like that team was not performing as well, and you could see the cracks towards the end of the season. And that was just purely from a performance. It's not an opinion-based thing. They were losing games against teams they really shouldn't have.
Yeah. Okay.
And, maybe that was pressure showing. Maybe that was just, their synergy, failing a little bit. But we were seeing cracks in a team that for years was just showing everybody flames. And
I don't think that's that hot of a take.
well, I didn't hear anybody say it, so I will claim it.
so
You can claim it, but yeah. But I think that's reasonable. We're not in Delulu land, that's for sure.
So what this all means is there are lots of questions. The season for us starts in 39 days, which means in 42 days, we will have more answers and we can discuss it then. The first podcast after the first regional is going to be fabulous. We're going to have so much more to say. It's going to be amazing. Next up is, I'm calling this one TTLF1. T-Shao and Twinza looking for a third. No coach as yet. Now, T-Shao wants to he's quite determined. He wanted to team up with someone from EU, and he wants to team up with for the third with someone who isn't from Reunion. He just wants to change things up a little. So Macht, you probably have the most info on Twinza, or the most familiar with him, and I know you've been a fan of him over time. Your thoughts on this?
I love me some Max action on the stream. No, look, like he's been really good on 77 blocks with Batness and Twist. Obviously, that's not happening anymore. Defensively, one of the strongest players that we have in SSA, or that we had in SSA for the past 2 years. I think just if you purely look on defensive ability, reaction saves, goal line saves, and even like the sort of like defensive third, I think there's very few people that are as comfortable in that area of the pitch than Twinza. Together with Tisha, I think that sort of works. And there is a name, we've mentioned him before. If there is any roster that is good enough for Cam on paper, it is this roster. I don't know if it will work playstyle-wise. I haven't thought about the logistics of it at all. But just from the names, just from the ability on the pitch, I think if Cam doesn't choose that, he's going to retire.
No, wait. Let's run this one out. Twinzer and Twister and who was their third?
Badness.
So Badness was the third into striker because I think it was Twinzer who was their second man. Am I correct here? The one who got the most assists out of all of this.
Let me get the.
I'm just thinking. So if T-Shaw is their mechanical bro, and Cam comes in as a strong second, it could be a bit of a conflict in play. I'm not sure if these guys have played together yet, but
Wait, I think
it could work.
Why would T-Shaw be the mechanical person? Are you saying that because Twinzer played more of a facilitator, a defensive role on 77 blocks? Okay, but so that's his role on 77 blocks, though. Like you have to think about his talent when it compares to
what I've seen. That's all on paper,
right? But taking what you've seen to this new roster, Twinzer is going to be more mechanically effective. So I think that you have to consider that Twinzer could be the mechanical player. And whether he is or not, I still have no idea what kind of player you fit into this team. I really don't.
And and given that it is, I mean, at this stage, because we have no idea the third, it's hard to even say where they're likely to finish until we know that third. I do know that Cam has been, is, and quite possibly still is in the conversation for this roster. I know they've scrimmed with tweaks as well. So who knows? It's kind of up in the air. But as of today, nothing confirmed.
Where's Mr. Lowe? I thought he was on retiring.
Yeah.
Not on that roster.
Since his initial tweet of like, oh, maybe time to unretire, I think he might have done some investigating and gone, yeah, maybe not.
do you know, I would probably, say that the player that would probably fit this team the best would be like a 2024 Rubik's or Ram. That would be my slot in. I feel like
Ram is a shout.
Yeah, like I feel like that would be the player to slot into this to give it a bit of balance. I think Cam would be competing with Twinzer. I'm struggling to see the synergies.
Ram's retired, so no conversation to be had.
We say that, but
this is SSA. You're quite right.
Everyone in SSA is already retired at least twice.
Okay, well,
but this is fun. This is a super fun roster to keep an eye on because we were so hyped on T-Shaw. Was he the youngest player to make a main event at 13?
He still holds the record as of now.
So that's
I believe so,
right?
Yeah.
I think he got dethroned by one of the snowmen in NA. Right?
Okay, maybe you might be. I don't pay enough attention to Rocket League outside of SSA to know for sure.
I don't know if he got dethroned or not, but
okay. Well, while in the meantime, we're going to move on, and a very interesting one: Zany, Bigfoot, and Yelo possibly being coached by Goose.
Who? And I hadn't heard much from this team, and then I've sort of been hearing a little bit about it in the wins, and on paper, solid team. And then I heard that they toppled a couple of big scalps, so that sort of made me look at them a little bit closer. I don't know who the big names are because they're gonna guard their results as closely as possible because any inklings preseason of who's better than who affects their org potential. So we don't expect to know how good these guys are anytime soon. Goose. I don't have too much of an opinion about him. All I know is that he attracts controversy and has been ejected from an org or two. So, if he happens to be the coach, good for him. But I think he would be more a manager than a coach.
And I think he got stiffed by Lath on the whole FUT or something. There was some bad blood there, but whatevs. My take, Zany's a grinder, and Yelo we know. Bigfoot. to me, I don't know where he stands. I don't know what his ambition is because he tends to come and go for me. Like he's on the grind and then he's kind of not around and then he's on the grind. So he is my question mark on this roster.
I think the big thing about this team is like it just hits home at this general theme of before roster mania really started to solidify in SSA for this upcoming season, post 2/3 roll, were the locals going to take advantage and take on that import third player? And like this team is a really good example of the question being answered. Yes, they are. Like I feel like we wouldn't be giving this team a higher ceiling unless they brought in a exciting import third. And in yellow, we've seen on Astronic, I want to say, like have some good results with Byerchu and whoever their third ends up being all the time. Right. So I think it's exciting. And yeah, Zany brings a real passion, real excitement. And like what Greybeard said, the grind. So maybe with that motivation, this team can go far. What Zany, I was looking this up, Decimate, then Relentless. And did appear top 8 with Relentless in the most recent split of RLCS. So Zany has experience working with other players and getting some good results. Maybe he can do it again.
I like Syntax in chat said that he sat in on a scrim with this team against Wilu's side, and Bigfoot looked like the best player on the pitch at times. So that's encouraging.
How many times?
And to be clear, I was a big fan of Bigfoot, also around from like the original iteration of SSA and RLCS. So hopefully we can do some big things. Zany, I'm hoping I see big success for Zany because he put in so much grind. An argument could be made that maybe played too much Rocket League, but I'd love to see him finding some success and some consistent top 8s and maybe a push a little bit higher. But
where do we see this roster? Like in terms of results?
I was trying to move forward before that got brought up, but well done.
But like for me, this obviously this is a team that makes main event like top 16 every time.
Yes,
with how the rosters are going to shake out, and I think that's safe to say. But do they make top 8s? And that, for me, is the big question mark coming on. Like, for that, like, Agnello is good, but there are better imports than him that we've already seen on the screen as well, right? Yeah. So he's been involved in SSA now for 2 years. I love that he's still around, right? But how far forward does this go? And I think they're going to struggle to make top 8s.
So you're saying there are better that we've seen already. If not Agnello, then who would you put there? Let's talk about that.
I mean, better that we know are going to be on rosters.
Well, can I suggest this? Because one of the later graphics we're going to have are the EU players who are currently LFT, okay, cool. And I think that's probably a good spot to bring that in.
Okay, yeah, let's do that then.
Preparation is key.
WRG, by all accounts, this roster will stay with Wee Casper, Galaxy, and Banana Cat. And with Galaxy's improvement, I'm encouraged. This is definitely a team for me that makes top 16 on the regular, and the maybe half the time make a top 8. I don't know if they go further than that.
I was very
insight here.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, no. So the only insight I have into this team is we watched their run in Comic-Con, and Wee Casper and Banana Cat were playing very well. And they have a unique style of abrasive Rocket League that they were playing that I haven't seen too many teams actively pursue. And maybe it was one-tricking, but they were getting in much more fancied opponents' hair and giving them some trouble. So the fact that they're still together, the fact that they haven't, changed that starting lineup, gives me a bit of hope that they will aim higher this season. I'll agree with Greybeard. They're definitely a top 16. They will be pushing for top 8. Whether they'll achieve that consistently, I don't know. But I feel like this team together stands a better chance than they do apart.
Fair enough.
This team will be our benchmark as to like how good does it treat teams that do stick together? Because now we have a longer season as well. It doesn't begin in January; it begins in November. My thing about this team as well is I think they have like a higher floor. I don't see this team having a higher ceiling. Unfortunately, I don't see them like cracking in top 8 as often as other teams. But the fact that their floor is so high because they've stuck together, because they have this like long experience in RLCS, I think that helps them. I think that helps them. They can at the very least like have these top 12s and work from that. So hopefully the long season treats them well because they'll have the most tenure as a team together than any other squad.
Alrighty. So that's WRG. Next up, we have the Dutchies. And speaking about out of retirement,
Skulk G?
Skulk G! Skulk G's coming back, boys!
All right.
What? That is. Are we in 2021?
What year is it?
Have we invented a time
Wait,
machine?
wait,
Are we
wait,
back
wait,
in
this is-
2021?
This, by the way, can we talk about how none of these players will be playing if 2/3 didn't happen? Like, actually,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
Blackstar has
100%.
retired. Skulk G
100%.
was gone and forgotten. Friction was on his way out.
Yeah.
So kudos 2/3 role. You
Yeah.
have resuscitated an incredible roster for the next season.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say. I don't.
Bromeo, I don't even. Do you know Skulk G?
He was, before my time even.
So he was first and second season of RLCS in SSA, so 21 and 22 into early 23. He was great. He great player. And then Friction we know, and then Lackstar, who's been coaching for the last season and a half, 2 seasons. All making a comeback. I have no idea how far this roster can go, but I think they're in for the shits, the gigs, and the vibe, and it's great. I'm so thrilled by this roster.
Surely on vibe alone they get top 16.
Yeah, I feel like this is the team that Unity picks.
Yeah,
It has to be because Unity goes and makes some questionable picks. But they've been so consistent, and I would love watch any of these team streams. I would be so invested. It's completely a different aspect to RLCS, and I feel like this is the team we needed. To heal.
And
I just want to see. Yeah. Okay.
go.
Okay. I want to see Friction. I mean, out of anyone on this team, like Friction has a really high ceiling in RLCS, in my opinion. Like he kind of moves under the radar a lot of the time. But every time we talk about a match, like who had the clutch factor, who popped off, who has those power shots when they're needed. Like Friction is a sharpshooter. He's an executor. When put in the position, he does execute. I'm excited to see like Friction just take this team to that next level.
I love Yuckles' comment. This looks like a bro roster.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to say because he's not wrong.
And listen, it's a rarity in a complete roster where every person on that roster is just a mensch of a human being. I love all 3 of these people, and Bromeo, I love what you said. These are good. This is going to be the Love Watch team of the season.
If they need to stick together.
Yeah,
all of us. It's like your parents. You make them sit down at a table, talk it out, do it for the family, because we need this team. And I cannot even explain to you why. It's not for the result. It was never about the result. But every single stream they put out, I will watch.
Excellent.
What will we do should they make top 8? If they make top 8, and we have actually, we are to stream them if they made top 8s. There has to be some special occasion.
I don't know what exactly we'll do, but we'll file it under the general heading of lose our shit.
Yeah, I'll change my name from Pyro J to Pyro G.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'll be Greybeard G.
one G.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Okay, next up we have MJS, which is last season's Ox Gaming's roster. Max, Jerome Moment, and Scrappy, coached by Asterix. And for me, a team that underachieved. I thought they should have done more. I don't know if they're a regular top 8 roster, but I feel like they should be regularly threatening to get into top 8 and hoping, really hoping that they will fulfill the potential I think they have.
This for me, if we're going on what roster does this belong to, this would be a team espionage for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If Blackstar's bro, then yeah, this is espionage.
This is team espionage.
Yeah.
I think they've got some quality players. They're all on the cusp. Scruffy has been threatening for the last little while as well. He's definitely improving. Jerome as well. I'm not sure if they're going to crack top 8. I don't think they will, but I do think that they're going to walk home with some prize money.
I did see Max was in chat earlier, and I've been a big fan of. Well, Max holds a special place in my heart, and I just want to say to him, keep pushing, bro. Keep going. Your moment is coming. All right, that's MJS. And then moving forward, NXE. This is an incomplete roster. It's Zyro and Nitro looking for an EU third. Nitro has potential. I don't know if this is the right roster. Zyro surprised me immensely. Bromeo, where did we see him? I've watched so much Rocket League, I can't remember.
We saw him at Comic-Con.
Oh, it was at Comic-Con. Yeah. You're quite right. And he was a player that wasn't really on my radar and was very impressed with how he performed. So maybe this is his time. And Macht and Pyro, I don't know if you know either of these players very well.
Oh, yeah, of course. Nitro and Zyro have been competing for years. Nitro, we know, is great. I want to say Nitro and Zyro were reverse Oreo, and they had top 8'd before under that roster. That was a really exciting team to watch. We 100% know these players. This is your dark horse. This is your dark horse. I mean, it all depends on who the CE player is going to be. I already heard inklings as to who it would be, but I don't know what's going to be confirmed, what won't be confirmed. But you're looking at a dark horse here. You're looking at a team that once it's formed should fit in that top 8. Should fit in.
And just as a public service announcement, I see Ford has asked, he's like, how many teams are left? I can't remember all of these teams. All of this information is on a spreadsheet, which I will make publicly available, and I will update as updates come in. But I'll post that out on Twitter so everyone can see the state of affairs as I understand it. We're keeping in mind that Greybeard does not always know what the fuck is going on, but I'll do my best.
Did a pretty damn good job, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, pretty close to knowing what all going on. Pretty close to
Wait, Bromeo, what do you think about this roster? I heard when I said top 8.
It's tough because Zyro has had an incredible season so far. I really love the way he played at Comic-Con. Nitro selected for top 6 into possible Springbok contention for national colors, for FIFA E. So his credentials are already spoken for. It entirely hinges on who they pick up their third. At the moment I saw this team, I'm like, where's Tristan? I haven't seen Tristan yet. And Greybeard's possibly got him literally on the next slide. And I think that, we were all hinting towards an EU because I feel like that's all the vogue right now. It's like the Ed Hardy cap. It's in fashion to have an EU third. And nobody's actually taking, a full gamble on a local a full local team except for Wordy's team so far. So
No, and Skill Steel's team.
yeah. So
And we
to
Casper.
say it,
And we
Yeah,
Casper.
I think that this EU ad would definitely make it a good team, but I still think there's enough players in SSA. I mean, what about Cam here? That would also make it a really good team.
Well, speaking of that, I think okay. So there's one more team to show, and it's not even a team. There is a
Blade.
and why I've got it
Blade
like
is
this.
alone.
Why
Blade
I've
wants
got
friends.
why I've got it like this is that there is a roster, but they're not telling me who it is. So I know Blade's got a team, but I don't know who the other two are. So very little to say about that. So there we go. Team Blade will come in due course. And then players who are in the wind, players who we've not seen mentioned, Cams, well, not mentioned on a roster. Cams, Tweaks, Mercury, Breezy, Stratic, 5BS, Technic, Tristan, Eagle, Willant, Serenity, Heatzy, and Zeth. So these are potentially rosters in themselves. Maybe two
may I
of
add
them
one?
are. You, of course, you may. Who?
Where's Snoozy?
No, Snoozy is a flake. He's and
Careful.
no. And you know what? And he will absolutely agree with me. And the reason I say that, Snoozy could have been one of the best that ever played in this region, but he just Rocket League didn't hold enough interest for him for long enough for him to pursue it. So as far as I know, Snoozy's not pursuing the game.
So we'll see it on like a just for fun thing.
Yeah, listen, he might land up on a roster, which would be amazing.
Yeah, but like Snoozy was so good. Like I was
He
like,
was
okay, where's
amazing.
Snoozy? Where's
He was
Snoozy?
amazing, but I mean, I spoke about Bigfoot as sort of blowing hot and cold, coming and going. Snoozy was even worse. When Snoozy grinded the game, he was honestly sensational, and I so wish he pursued it with a consistent passion. He would have been among the greats.
Wait, hold up. So Jay, Mr. Astronic himself in chat has said 5BS, Rubix, and Zeph are trying out. What do we think of that team?
I've seen Rubix and 5BS try with a number of thirds on ball chasing. Like genuinely 3 or 4 different thirds they've been trying out. So I'm pretty sure 5BS and Rubix are an item.
And you know what?
And they're probably LF1.
I think you're correct, and I know 5BS and Rubix have been they've been kind of mates of some description or another for the last 2 seasons. So it would not surprise me at all to see those two teaming up together. And I do have to add a name here, and I can't believe I missed this, and that is another name that's for sure in the wind is Duklas.
Great.
Did you say Greybeard? Are you mad?
But I see the old fish, a bird, roster.
Don't play with me, man.
Oh man, I know that Tweaks had an absolute banger of a season. He's on the rise, so to see that he's not in a team makes me sad.
Well, so just to clarify on that, so the Omnius roster was Serenity, Mercury, and Tweaks. And Omnius are very keen to have they would love to re-sign this roster, but Serenity's name's there, but he has retired. So that leaves Mercury.
Where's the tweet? Did he make the tweet?
Huh? What tweet?
Did Serenity make a "I retire from Rocket League"?
No,
tweet?
but
So then he's not retired.
Okay.
He's on this list.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that he's ever made a tweet of any kind.
He's like currently Schrodinger's Rocket League player. Is he here? Is he not? We don't know. But until we actually have confirmation, then we're good. But
yeah.
Ultimately, I think that there are still some very good teams in this group of players, and just having a look, Cam's, Tweaks, Mercury's on the rise, Breezy's on the rise, 5BS. he was in the talking points a couple seasons ago. I haven't seen much of him since. Tristan, Willant, Serenity's also like, I don't know why he's retiring. I don't think so, but Heatsy as well, really really good. So I think you can make one or two really competitive teams just from this list.
Was the question? Go Pyro.
Just off this list, I wanted to give one shout out to Eagle. His performance in the most recent split of RLCS under Pony Nujitsu was very impactful into them hitting those top eights, or that one top eight standing that they had, and in general bringing PNJ to a competitive level. Eagle was like very flighty, I guess, yeah, very flighty anyways in terms of like his skill, and I think he has solidified or stabilized in having like a genuine solid skill floor. And to me, if he ends up on the right team, he could stand out and bring a top 8 fight. But of course, it all depends on where they land as they're in the wind.
And that is a concerning point, because it's getting late in the game and you feel like people like Eagle should have had a roster already. And I start to worry about getting to that point where you pick up whoever the fuck is still available rather than the roster you want.
At the same time, like Eagle, perhaps if he had the PR of Tishao, was a few years younger, then maybe. I think both Eagle and Tishao are very, very similar player skill-wise as well. And Eagle, like the one time we had them on top 8, I distinctly remember he was a character, he was a personality, someone that you go to as an org and be like, actually, I can do something with it. That, like, I can do some content with it. I can use that player as, maybe we can come into that discussion later on, as a salaried player even, and do something with it.
I know he's trying out, and we'll see where we get. And I think the question posed at the start of this segment was it 5BX, Rubix, and Zeph? Was that the proposed team?
Yeah.
My question marks on that team are Rubix and 5BX. 5BS, just because 5BS comes and goes. And Rubix is a great player, but I know there might be potential health issues or whatever. I just have question marks around those two. But I mean, Zeph has fantastic potential.
Yeah.
All right,
Nothing to add.
That's fine. So those are the players in the wind. And that brings us to the names we know. I've said EU, LFT, and SSA. Not all of these names are EU. There is a MENA player in Mass, and there might be others, but the ones that I know of are Inspire, Marmon, Rukia, Renshiro, Naish, Mass, Rubix, and that's not Ping, it's Pingu, are apparently LFT in SSA, although I did see a tweet from Inspire say he was LFT for EU, so question mark there.
I would have loved to see Inspire in a local team. He really impressed me last season, and I feel like he could be one of those players that balances out a couple of those teams that are still looking for a player. So I think like you said, it probably comes down to the point of whether he fancies his prospects more playing with these players than he does playing with a full-on fledged team in EU with his own ping. So yeah, between Inspire and Rubix, I think those are the two players that I would have loved to see this season. We might still.
So let me ask you this question then. So Zyro, Nitro, and which one of these?
Easy, Rubix.
No.
Rubix.
Okay.
We talked about getting someone better.
Let's go.
We talked about getting someone better for them, and no offense to Rubix, I like the guy, really do. Like on that list from those sort of players, he's one of the weaker ones, I would argue. If you want to go all out, if you want to have a good import, get Renshiro or Naish. Renshiro is a meme in Europe, but he still made a main event in the LCQ. He made a top 16 in the LCQ. Naish is one of the British players, let's call it that. But he's also like on the cusp of making the top 16, making top 16s in EU. Like player-wise, for me, there's no argument. If you want the best possible EU player that is set, they are looking for a team in an SSA. Renshiro and Knight have to be on the top of your list.
I disagree purely from the fact that Rubik's, when he left Team Mobula, their goals conceded went through the bloody roof. And you're having a look at Zyro and Nitro, who are electric players when they're playing with confidence. To have somebody back home making sure that nothing leaks by, to keep this tripod standing effectively, that's cool. If you want another carry, that's great. But it's like throwing an Eliakim into the equation. Mechs are great, but you also need somebody to stop the goals. You also need somebody to settle the team. And that's why I liked Rubik's so much, because his effect was so apparent. It was so patent. The difference that he made on stats was something that you could see immediately. And I'm all for that. You need a balanced team.
All right.
I'm inclined to agree with that, just because I think that Nitro and Zyro don't require a carry. They have the level of competence that is needed to bring this team to an extra level, and having that stability of Rubik's would be great. I also think it's a good thing that you have Rubik's already proven to be competitive on a higher ping. I think that should speak for something, right? That we don't know, maybe these players are good, but maybe they can't really play competitive threes on a high ping. Rubik's has proven in that way. My final point is, pretty sure Marmon was like a Young Money Clan guy. So
no, I don't think he has got anything to do with that.
I also had that feeling. He might have, like he was in that orbit somewhere.
His literal
maybe like in the
has
group, but like.
No. Young Money Clan is on his Wikipedia results.
Okay. Oh yeah, sub. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so, sub, yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that little asterisks of, you're not looked upon very kindly in SSA.
You're not well your parts
with Young Money Clan. Like I mean, sorry, but we're not on the RLCS desk right now, so I'm gonna speak my mind when it comes to that.
I love this. I'm here for it. Go. You speak too much.
That was the most aggressive that you'll get out of me. Like, hey, we got a little bit of an eyebrow raised at you, so you better be careful.
Well, listen,
watch out, Bucko.
I will go with Pyro on the eyebrow raise on Marmon. But as long as your name isn't Riho or Laff, I'm good. So we're
look. I want to get back to the to the discussion we were having, because you talk about being proven on high ping and being able to play.
Yeah.
Again, Renshiro, he's played in APAC the entire last year. He's made not one singular result of his was worse than top 12 in APAC.
From Europe,
playing from Finland. That is the big problem for him, is Finland to SSA is probably going to be near a 200 ping. That is a different problem.
God, atrocious.
But he's
fair
used
point, though. Fair point. He's got a track record.
Playing on high ping, like even to Europe, to that. And he's also not a carry. I told you, I said he was a meme, and that is because his mechanics, and there's no front to him, are really bad for like a player of that high level. You expect these guys to be able to do everything, but he is a very, very solid player. And that if that is the sort of play style that you want to encourage, if you want someone that is just behind them, being stoic behind them, there's little things that are more stoic in the world than Finns are. And Renshiro, I think, he both in game, I think, and out of game, I think, for me, even though I like Rubik's massively, for me, Renshiro, if you want playstyle wise, even would be the clear pick.
All right, gents, we have one more graphic to have a look at, and somehow we have been speaking about this for nearly 2 hours. So we've really clearly a bunch of casting yappers. So well done. Our last slide is going to be orgs who are LFT. So orgs who've not confirmed rosters. Cosmico, Deathcloud, Omnius, and Astronic. There may be more. Those are the 4 I know of. I have a feeling Cosmico's roster has already been mentioned in tonight's proceedings. Deathcloud are in conversation with a few. Omnius Gaming are waiting to see what Tweaks and Mercury decide to do. And Astronic is definitely sniffing about talking to people.
I think
Jay's in chat. Jay,
Yeah,
leak.
no. Jay's
leak.
in chat.
Leak.
Yeah, leak us. Tell us.
League
Tell
Jay,
us, man.
what's the story? And Syntax has been in chat all night. Let's go, Syntax. What's happening?
I mean, can we
Voodoo
just
said
acknowledge
Unity to an
your boy
asterisk.
Q
At
as well
Unity.
in chat? Can we? Man's a legend. So I just wanted to say hi. I fanboy over that guy. Love that man.
Which one? Who
Your
did
boy
you?
Q.
Oh, Q is here.
Yeah, Q's in
Yeah.
chat.
My
That's what I'm
boy,
saying.
my
Your boy
boy.
Q.
How's it, Q?
But on a
Yanks.
serious note, I did see somebody was mentioning that Goliath is also sniffing around. I'm not sure if there is anything to those rumors, but it would be really cool to see another legitimate org getting involved. Cosmico is going to find a decent team. Deathcloud is probably going to pick up. Yeah, I'm not sure, especially with regards to like the money end of it. A couple of these might suckle a bit. But I do feel like each of these teams or each of these orgs will find their respective teams once all the dust is settled. I think that we just got to do a little pin the tail on the donkey with regards to some of these orgs, and I feel like that would be a fun game as well.
Well, Jay says, as I said, I hope we devour the competition next year. So that's about as much of a leak as close to a leak as we can get.
Yeah, that's not taking like the fence pole, or that's just ripping out the entire fence from the property and just waving with it.
Wow.
Okay, so now, Bromeo, you mentioned money, and I think that segues nicely to the last topic for which I'd like Machtfish and Pyro to be here and have an opinion about. And that is because behind the scenes, there's been a bit of consternation about salaries and what players expect. And everybody has had something to say about it. And then Bromeo put out a poll earlier today. And the poll was, when is it reasonable to ask for a salary in SSA Rocket League? And the options were top 2, top 4, top 8, or no salaries. And as it stands now, from 112 votes, it's top 8, followed by top 4.
I feel like this is a very important way to ask this question, because the question itself, when is it reasonable to ask for a salary? It's framing it from a player perspective. So, people answering this question, I'm hoping, would be the players themselves answering the question, not necessarily an org owner, because, right now in the current economic climate, there is no benchmark. And the benchmarks that do exist have either been artificially inflated or deflated. So this is about as open-ended a question as we can ever manage. That said, like Greybeard alluded to in the intro to this, there have been whispers in the wind, some malcontent that a certain select group of players have asked for ridiculous sums of money for their participation on behalf of an org. And given the economic climate of an org in this country right now, what is reasonable? So I'm going to put it to you guys for your opinion on this. I've got my own, but I'll pipe in to disagree, I'm sure.
Well, I also, just to preface this before Buckfish and Pyro jump in, is I think, Bromeo, your and I concept of a ridiculous salary might be different to Macht and Pyro. I don't know, but let's start with you, Pyro.
Can we start with mocked?
That's not what I meant to say.
Well,
Was,
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, take it.
Okay, thanks.
If you don't want it. The thing is, as a player, I think if you make a main event, it is reasonable to ask for some form of compensation. Be that money, be that other goodies that an org maybe has from sponsors. That is open to discussion. But that sort of is for me, for SSA now, the threshold where like, okay, you're mid to high bubble in SSA, and that's also the point where in other regions players get like a contract with like 50 euros a month, for example, where you just get 50 euros a month to rep that org. It's not much. It's basically nothing if you try to equate it to like regular jobs and everything. But it is a nice thing to have regardless of that, because it's just a little bit of side money, right? The question becomes entirely different if we ask, okay, when should they be able to live from it? And that's the answer is clear. Only top two probably in SSA. I think only the top teams should be making full-time amounts of money. But if you're talking about having a bit of side money, I think top 16 is a threshold where I'm like, okay, yeah, I think that is fair. You can ask for money, and you could not get money. That's cool. But if you don't get money, why? And you don't have any connection to the org, why rep it? That's also from a player point of view, the other question, right? What is your benefit if you're repping an org, and if you're giving them quote unquote free advertising somewhere when you don't get anything from it? So yeah, that's sort of my mindset from it.
So I'll jump in here, and this is the beginning. How I frame my argument towards this is when you sign as a player, what are you giving the org? So you're telling them, okay, I will give you a top 6. What is a top 6 worth to an org financially? In SSA, it's very difficult to quantify because it should be including ad revenue and stuff like that. So if the org is only deriving income from prize winnings, then your placement is directly tied to that, right? That is where you are tying your value as a player, is your prize winnings, your earnings, right? And I saw a couple of very good points, and I think chat also mentioned this, is that as a player, what value do you bring? From your following, your social media. We've been speaking about this ad nauseum, but is that how you define your value as a player? Because if so, then all of these players who are demanding salaries should be active on social media. They should be, employees of the company that they are working for, because that's what a salary implies. So if all that the salary is buying you is, the org's name a little bit higher up on the list, I don't think that there is huge value in that, especially in the current economy. Pyro.
So the reason that I had you guys begin in the first place was because I try my best to not speak where I don't have expertise in. And this is an area where, like, as an analyst, I pay attention to what players do on the field, not as much off the field. So I just don't prefer to speak on this in general. But I do think you guys are raising a very important conversation, because there's so many factors included between what you two are talking about, between players' interests, which I would imagine top 8 would win this poll, because like most players are going to want most of them to get paid anyways. And then the fact that they've maybe been inflated by certain rosters and orgs, so on and so forth. So
and look,
to be completely honest, that's where I hold myself back to.
No, and that's completely fair, Paro. So I've weirdly YouTube, my YouTube algorithm has been feeding me my own videos, which is quite bizarre, and very old videos. And one of them was like about a week ago, was a video I made after I think the second season of SSA RLCS. And the subject of it is why is the relationship between orgs and players so fickle? And I was grappling at the time with what we grapple with now is, an org is in the scene for half a split or, one regional and rosters are around for two splits and then they break up. And I think it has settled and gotten better. And there has been a slow maturing in the scene. But I think broadly the situation continues. It's what is the org responsibility and what is the player responsibility and what is each getting out of it? And the thing that flabberstaggers me continually, and we've touched on this, is the unwillingness, particularly of top teams, to do anything with content. Like they don't even stream. They don't do anything. They don't have events. They don't. And that I don't understand an org paying $1,000 a month for you to do nothing but play the. I don't know, but Pyro, to echo what you're saying, I didn't grow up in esports. I'm 53 years old. I have outstanding life experience, but only 5 years of it in esports, and that only in Rocket League. So I don't understand why it's an ongoing frustration, and what the economies are and where it's supposed to make sense and where it's all supposed to. But in the background, I have heard of players asking for amounts of money that surprise me. And I think the consequence is that there will be a number of teams without orgs. And Bromeo, to echo what you said, well, I don't know if it was you or Macht, but that's okay too, because it was Macht. If you don't have a connection with the org and you're not getting anything special, well, then we'll just go our own way, hope for the best, and keep our winnings.
No, sorry, just to say, I completely agree. So much so that for an org to shell out money for 3 players for a certain amount of money every month, you could possibly, for even cheaper, just sponsor the broadcast if you want to make it to main event every weekend. And you would be guaranteed it, and it would probably be cheaper if you want to advertise your org. And that's what you got to think of is like ROI. What are these 3 players giving me, and what are the 3 players getting? And I feel like in this current economy, it is very much favoring the player with regards to their obligations to an org, especially in SSA, because I don't think I know a single, I think I could, put on my hand the amount of players that are active on social media, posting their stuff and things like that.
That's not relevant. I would say, like, I'm team manager for a team in EU myself, right, at the moment for like an actual org. So the thing of course it's nice if the players stream, and that's a bonus, but that is something that can also be contractually done as like, okay, you get more money if you stream X amount of hours, if you get a base salary, and then there may be add-ons, right? Contracts can be structured very, very creatively in that regard. So I don't think that you need to be a personality. The one thing you need to be is available for org content. If the org wants to do something with you, let's say you're Astronic and you have a new sponsor and you need to do a sponsor read or a sponsored post with that new sponsor. And you have 3 players signed and none of them can bother to lift up get up and actually film something really quick. Then I'm sorry, that is disgraceful. And honestly, you should probably kick that player as soon as possible, or again have some content clauses in the contract for that. But that for me is the main thing. You want, as an org, you want to have as many opportunities to communicate as an org about the team. It doesn't matter if the team streams. It doesn't matter if the players are active themselves. They are your agents. They have to be a vessel that you can use, and you compensate them for being that vessel with, or for donating or giving their time and doing what is good to be professional esports players as they can. again, you can compare it with football players as well. Like, you pay them to be professionals first and media duties, while they come a close second. They are still second, and they are a secondary vessel for you as the organization.
I think that's a fantastic point, and I will. Obviously, it'd be fabulous if you're a Squishy or a Rattles or whoever, because there are pros who stream. That's fantastic. But you make a solid point. Guys don't want to stream. Great, then at least be available. All right, closing thoughts on this.
Just to have a look at what the public have said. The public have pretty strongly agreed that if you're playing Rocket League and you're making top 8, you deserve to have money. And I can agree with that, especially if an org wants you to rep them. I don't think you should be repping an org for GS. I don't think they should be we'll give you a couple of tweets out, because that's also not a very good way to, represent an org, because then what's the point? You, as a player, you're gaining nothing. Absolutely nothing except a pat on the back every time you win, which, you would have done anyway. So I think ultimately that if you are part of an org, you should be getting a stipend of some sort. Whether it's a monetary consequence, there must be of benefit to you being in there. But I also do think that, just from what I'm hearing, there are a couple players overplaying their hands. But I feel like that is, just through lack of guidance. I don't think that's on purpose. I feel like they just haven't gotten great advice. And, I believe players have 3 or 4 years to make their money out of this. I think they're just trying to do just that. But also realistically, the fact that there's so few orgs in the scene, I don't have real belief that anybody outside of the top 4 is going to be getting a salary, whether they expect it or deserve it or otherwise.
So my closing comment on this is going to be this: is there is one LAN spot available out of SSA, and there are very few orgs that can buy the necessary roster to make that LAN. Arguably, Pioneers have done that, or are doing that, or might do that when and if that roster is confirmed. And possibly another org might do that with Snowy's team. And those are the only two that they have the greatest chance of making a LAN. Outside of that, I think there is more mileage for an org to, instead of looking to buy a roster that's going to get them a guaranteed top 2 spot, which is a fool's game because there's one spot available, and look to invest in the region over time. And over time, look to build rosters and properly build yourself in the scene and build fans. And I think, orgs that is at least making strong efforts in that direction is Cosmico. They are involved in the region. They're a little bit up and down with their content, but they are at least producing content and looking to make fans and have people here working around it. If I have a criticism about Limitless as an org, I feel their involvement in the SSA region was terrible. They gave very little in that regard. And that's where orgs like Synthesis and Omnius and others can help to grow the scene, while at the same time building their own brands to look for greatness inside Rocket League over the years to come. But as the relationship still, there's still a lot to work out. We as a region have to mature. Our local orgs have to mature. And we will continue to do this. And all of this conversation around rosters and whether we're criticizing orgs or criticizing players, it's all in the context of being at the start of a RLCS season, about which I have probably not been this excited since our very first introduction to RLCS back in 2021. I think we're going to have a banger season. And Bromeo, Machtfish, Pyro, I cannot wait for us to sit on the next broadcast. It is literally, I am salivating at the prospect of what we're going to see roll out in SSA. So with that in mind, it's just going to be phenomenal. And Pyro, Machtfish, I don't know how long you thought you were going to be on this podcast tonight. But let me extend my thanks to both of you for taking the time to be here.
Listen, Greybeard, leading up to this season, I'd rather spend time talking to you, whether it's 2 hours on a potty or 2 hours talking about what we can do to make this next season amazing. So I think we're doing that right now by shining a light on these teams. I think we can do even more leading up to the start of the season to start to see these teams in action. There's going to be some excitement along the way. And thank you for bringing me on. Thank you. I love talking to Region and love talking with you gents, even when most of my comments are fighting you about things. It's all good fun. It's all just to, have some fun conversations. So thank you guys for tolerating me.
Oh, an absolute pleasure.
I can only echo Pyro's words, but also I think this proves we just need longer pre-shows on ACGL. We need to because we can clearly fill it with content as well.
The Yap Show.
The Yap Show has to start at some point. But I mean, Ryan, it's your mistake. You brought on you and Roman can already yap, but you brought on 2 other professional yappers here. So
well, listen, it's been a long time since the close of the last broadcast. So and this is why women have more than one baby, is they forget how much they had to go through to have one, and then they're like, let's have another one. This is a good idea. And so I forgot, but now I've been refreshed, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So Machtfish, Pyro, I'm going to let you guys go. Bromeo and I have got a couple of things we need to talk about as we wrap up tonight's podcast. But what a banger. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable episode. And Machtfish, Pyro, thanks for coming. Peace out and see you soon.
Yes, boss.
Cheers, man. Bye. All right, Bromeo. So we were supposed to... So the plan tonight was to talk about what we've just spoken about. And then we've got all the info on RSC and who's where and the league tables and so much going on there. But honestly, I think we've run out of time. But we are going to have a special episode of Just Saying, Season 2, Episode 20-1 on Wednesday.
20-1.
And we will do everything RSC. Because there really is a lot to talk about. We're in week 7. We are coming to the end of season 4 of RSC, and there is everything to play for. There are epic battles which are afoot. But Bromeo, there is one topic we need to talk about now, and I'm going to let you run with that.
Man, okay, so let's just keep this brief because I know you guys have places to be, but the Underground League is again kicking off tomorrow with the help of Azira Gaming and Silver. They are running it once more. Applications are open. They are in the Discord server. All you need to do is emote react to the post to register if you've already registered to play RSC. So whether you're a free agent or an existing player, you can play in the Underground League, and registrations are all the way until I think it's like 7:30 tomorrow. So get involved. It takes nothing. It takes no time. You just rock up and play.
The Underground League, get in there tomorrow night, all rolling out. So get it done. And then all of the photos, Melissa has just finished an epic edit of all the photos from the RSC LAN. Those are now available on the Greybeard website. The link is in chat, easy enough, greybeard.gg. Go to galleries and it is there. And if you want high resolution versions of any of those photos, please DM me directly. But that is going to wrap it up. We are going to go and raid Ground Zero. Ground Zero out of the UK specializes in bringing 1v1 show matches. He's got one about to kick off right away. He likes bringing different regions in and so on. So if you're not supporting him, go and support him. Go and say how's it to Ground Zero. Follow him if you're on. Tell him that Greybeard sent you. And we'll see you on Wednesday night for an RSC wrap-up. And then, of course, RSC's live stream Thursday night for week 7. But until then, peace. All right, let me just make sure the raid goes through.